Ram Hare Hare. Hmm. Okay, so today we're discussing about the Lord's concluding pastimes. So none of the authorized scriptures actually describe how Mahaprabhu disappeared from this world. So we can also assume that it's not really such a significant pastime in that sense. Otherwise, the acharyas would have made a very specific mention of it. So here, one thing very important to understand is that when we are discussing spiritual personalities, their personal attributes are not of so much importance. Like when we are trying to understand the life and pastimes of great personalities, it may be of some general interest to know about their activities, but as such, if they don't have any philosophical implications, it is not very significant to know all about them. As we see in case of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita itself, that Mahaprabhu's personal life has not been dwelt upon in such details as has been his teachings. So Mahaprabhu did not express like expressly issued any commentaries on any scriptures or anything. Though Mahaprabhu stressed mainly on the teachings of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, but on his own he left behind only 8 teachings. So they are known as the Sri Chaitanya Shiksha Ashtak. They do not really appear in a sequential form like this in Chaitanya Charitamrita. These teachings are discussed in a slightly dispersed manner. So yeah. So the Lord left only 8 shlokas of his instructions in writing, and they are known as the Shiksha Ashtakam. All other literatures of his divine cult were extensively written by Lord's principal followers, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and their followers. The cult of Chaitanya philosophy is richer than any other, and it is admitted to be the living religion of the day with the potency for spreading as Vishwa Dharma or universal religion. We are glad that the matter has been taken up by some enthusiastic sages like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj and his disciples. We shall eagerly wait for the happy days of the Bhagavad Dharma or Prema Dharma inaugurated by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The 8 shlokas completed by the Lord are as follows. Okay, number 1. Glory to Shri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benedictions for the humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. So this is the very first verse of Sri Chaitanya Shikshastra. It starts with the chanting of the holy name. We have already seen in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya that he stresses only on the chanting of holy name. Harer Nam eva kevalam, kalo nastev gatir anyatha. That in this age of Kali, there is no other religious way. There are no provisions, no amount of temple worship, no amount of so-called fire sacrifices, no amount of any ashram, nothing is going to help really. What is really going to work is the chanting of the holy name. Everything else is subordinate to the chanting of holy names. So, if temple worship or visiting holy places or performing Vedic rituals, if they are hindering in the chanting of holy names, then they have to be given up because primary is chanting of the holy names. So, it cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life. See, the material world is compared to a forest fire. And forest fire means that it is blazing, it is in all directions. No one can escape a forest fire. Once a forest catches fire, millions of living entities are burned to death. There is no escaping because there is no air to breathe. It's hot everywhere, and there is no direction in which the fire is not present. So that's the nature of material life. Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartino Arjuna. Krishna is saying, right from planet of Brahma down to the lowest planet are places of repeated birth and death. No one can escape the miseries, misery of birth and death, and so many anxieties that one has to take in the material world. Even Lord Brahma, the topmost living entity, is also full of anxieties. There is no living entity who has no anxieties in this world, except, of course, for the pure liberated souls. So here we can see that so Mahaprabhu first glorifies Sankirtan. This is the primary step in bhakti. So this Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. So, of course, see the sun rays are also illuminating, but sun rays are hot. No one can stand in the sun for a long time because sun is blazing hot. But moonlight, on the other hand, is very pleasant. When sunlight falls on plants, the plants wilt. But when moonlight falls on plants, they actually become fleshy and juicy because Soma or moon is the presiding deity of fruits and vegetables. So when moonlight falls on plants, fruits and vegetables become fleshy and juicy. Moonlight is also illuminating, but the light of moon is soft and it is pleasant. It does not burn. So therefore, Sankirtan movement is compared to moonlight, which is illuminating and at the same time very pleasant. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. So Sarva Mantra Saranam Ei Shastra Marma, Mahaprabhu says. So Sarva Mantra Saranam, it's the essence of all the Vedic mantras. Actually, all the Vedic mantras are contained within the holy names, Hare Krishna. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. So, Anandamayo Bhyasat, every living entity is always seeking Ananda or bliss. But in place of Ananda, they end up with Sukha or, or happiness, which is temporary and which actually becomes a cause of lamentation and anxiety. But if one takes shelter of the holy name, Sri Krishna Sankirtan, glorious chanting of the holy names of Krishna, then one can always taste the bliss which he is seeking. The living entity is always seeking bliss. Even the most demonic or the most saintly or an animal or a plant, everyone is seeking bliss only. Mhm. Hmm. Second verse. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. So, see, the holy name of Krishna, Vishnu, Narayan, Govinda, Mukunda, Madhav, Madhusudan, Hari, these are all different names of the Supreme. The Lord is Narayan, and all his names are equally potent. So all the transcendental energies. So when the name of the Lord is chanted, when someone says Krishna, Vaman, Hari, Narayan, the personality of Godhead is himself present because he is himself within the name, within the holy name. But and there are no rules, no hard and fast rules. All the processes we discuss, the regulative principles, the rules, the regulations, all of this is to enhance the chanting of the holy names. This is something one must understand, that all the rules and regulations we discuss are meant to enhance the purity of our chanting. Chanting alone is sufficient. Even the most sinful person, by chanting the holy names, can become completely purified and eligible to enter into the spiritual world. But when we follow rules and regulations which are given in the scriptures, like Pancharatra or Vedas, then one's chanting becomes much more powerful. One can taste the bliss of the holy name. The only problem is that we have no attraction. That is due to our offenses. So there are 10 offenses to the chanting of the holy names, beginning with the beginning with the disobedience of the spiritual master. then considering the Lord to be equivalent to some demigod, or to commit strength on the holy names. There are 10 such offenses. By committing those 10 offenses, our faith in the holy name diminishes. Therefore, we lose taste for chanting. So, because we are offensive, we are not able to taste the nectar of the holy name. But the holy name itself is powerful. In fact, in one of the places, one devotee was saying that it is when you don't feel like chanting, is really the time when you really need to chant. Hmm. Then the fourth verse, third verse, yeah. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So, see, the living entity is insignificant. Krishna is Vibhu, infinite, and we're Anu, we're microscopic. Our position is insignificant. Even so, the Lord takes care of us. We have rebelled against the Lord and have appeared in this material world. Even so, the Supreme Lord takes care of us. But that should not become a cause of our becoming proud, because it is by Lord's mercy alone that we are advancing in spiritual life. Actually, Lord alone is sustaining us in this world. Even for material benedictions, we need the support of the Lord. So, so we should understand that we are completely insignificant. Krishna is saying, that sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto, mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So, mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So, the knowledge to act, the ability to act itself. Krishna says in the ninth chapter, I am the ability in man. So, Krishna is the ability also. So, without Krishna's wish, we cannot even move a finger. So, keeping all these considerations in mind, we should feel very humble. You know, lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, because every kind of trouble we are facing in this life, when someone is hurting us, when someone speaks rudely to us, or someone cheats us or anything, all this is nothing but a reaction of our own karmas. So therefore, one should learn to tolerate. Yes, Krishna is saying also in the second chapter we have seen in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has already said, Yam hina vivathyante tet purusham purusharbha sam dukham sukham dhiram, sam dukha sukham dhiram, so amritatvaya kalpate. That one who is equanimous in the conditions of happiness or unhappiness is eligible to become liberated from this material world. Because both the happiness and unhappiness that are coming our way are nothing but reactions of our past karmas. So, and in any case, both of them are binding us within the material world. So, one should learn to tolerate both happiness and unhappiness and render one's duty. The tolerance of happiness or unhappiness means rendering our duty perfectly. That means we do not neglect our duty, we just carry on with our tasks. That we have to chant, we have to read, we have to follow the regulative principles, and we have to preach, whether we are happy or we are unhappy. If we give up in times of distress, then we'll fall down from the path of liberation. So, keeping such considerations, one should be very humble. Because when one becomes completely humble and tolerant, one can chant the names of the Lord continuously. Because that also means, being humble means that one will have no expectations from the material world. So many times, we hear devotees complaining that, oh, Prabhu, my wife doesn't listen to me, my husband doesn't allow me this and that. We have to tolerate all of this because we have decided to bring ourselves to this material world. Now we have to pay the price. So now we are here, like Haridas Thakur. Srila Haridas Thakur was being beaten in 21 marketplaces. He just kept on chanting the holy names. He did not protest, knowing well that all our miseries are nothing but a reaction of our past karmas. So when one thinks like this, that all my miseries are a result of my own misdeeds, then one will not protest. And when happiness comes, one should see that as an invitation from Maya to become more entangled in the material world. So when one is able to think like this, one will be able to chant very peacefully. Hmm. Next verse. Hmm. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. So, my Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, beautiful women, or followers. So, once devotional service is spoiled, actually, it is said that a renunciate is never supposed to associate with Kanaka, Kamini, or Pratishtha. Kanak means gold, Kamini means opposite sex woman, and Pratishtha means name and fame. A sannyasi has nothing to do with all of this. Sannyasi has rejected all of this in his material life to reach the platform of spiritual elevation. And there, if he comes in contact with these, he will fall down again into the path of birth and death. So, therefore, Mahaprabhu plays the role of an ordinary devotee and he is praying that he doesn't want women or followers or wealth, only devotional service birth after birth. So, this is the aspiration of a devotee in the path of sadhana. So, these four verses that we have discussed now, these are discussing. So, these eight verses that we're going to see, actually, four of which we have seen, are different grades in the path of spiritual elevation. Hmm. So, in the sadhana stage, one chants the holy name with some degree of faith. Adau Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sango, Atha Bhajan Kriya Tato Anartha Nivritti. So, in the initial stage, when one has some faith and starts the chanting of the holy names, at that stage, the holy name purifies his heart. This is the glory of the holy name because Lord's name has all the potencies. It is like a blazing fire. Like Vishnu Puran says that when one chants the holy names of Vishnu, the holy name of Vishnu burns like a fire within the chamber of the heart and destroys all the dirt that has accumulated for many, many births. So that is the strength of the holy name. So how should an aspiring devotee chant this holy name? In the first verse, we saw how the holy name can purify the living entity and bring him peace and bliss. In the second name, the reason for that was described because the holy name is invested with all the power, but our misfortune is that we are not attracted to it. The third verse describes how one should chant with, with perfect humility, considering oneself lower than a straw in the street, and with complete tolerance. Being more tolerant than a tree. A tree does not protest when it is cut. A tree does not protest when branches are taken or fruits are taken, but it continues to provide shade and shelter. So, devotee is also like this. He does not consider any personal insults or any personal harms. He just sees the best in the other souls. Pandita Samadarshina. So, if one chants with that mood, one's chanting will be perfect. Then, what should be the condition of the heart? As soon as one starts chanting the holy names, one's heart becomes purified. So, and when the heart becomes purified, one will lose all desires for women, wealth, or fame. But one will only desire causeless mercy. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. That one may give up sense activity, but the taste for those activities will still remain. But if one takes to a higher taste, then all the lower tastes can be given up. So we can see in this material world, everyone is attracted to so many things. Dhanam, Janam, Sundari, wealth, women, fame. Everyone wants all of this. Of course, in case of women, they want men. So all of this. But when one becomes attracted to Krishna, especially through the chanting of the holy names, then all these attractions they just fade away. And one then only desires to serve the Lord causelessly. Birth after birth, one only wants to serve the Lord. So these are different aspects of sadhana bhakti. Hare Krishna. Yes, anyone has any questions or comments? Hmm. So, if you are following ISKCON or Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, this is essentially the Siddhant. But we can also see that this Siddhant is not different from any other processes. It is not different from the Siddhant of Ramanujacharya or Madhvacharya or Nimbarka Swami or Vallabhacharya or any other Acharya for that matter, or Vishnu Swami. Because Mahaprabhu is the Lord himself, so he establishes a religious principle. And if you see the Sri Shiksha Ashtak, it actually also agrees with any other religious principle or any other religious siddhant. Hmm. Okay, so we continue. Maybe we can take one more verse today. O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of birth and death, and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet. Hmm. So somehow or the other, I have fallen here. No one knows when the living entity came under the influence of Maya. And when we fell down, we do not know. So therefore, our prayer should be for the Lord to purify us and re-establish in that position. In this regard, there's a very beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. Samashrita ye padapallavaplavam param padam punya yasho murare bhavam budhir vats padam param padam 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 yat vipadam natesha. So those who take the shelter of the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, for them, this vast ocean of miseries becomes no more than the water contained in the hoof print of a calf. For such a person, the destination is the blissful abode of the Supreme Lord, not this material world where there is danger at every step. This is in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in the glorification of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So this is our prayer also. So Bhavam Budhir Vatsapadam Param Padam. So the whole ocean of material existence just reduces to the water in the hoofprint of a calf. So if any one of you has been to Vrindavan or village areas, if you've seen these young cows, the calves are very small and their hoofs are also very small. So if there's water in the hoofprint of a calf, it means nothing. It poses no danger to anybody. But on the other hand, an ocean is extremely dangerous. No one can escape an ocean, not even the best swimmer. So no one can escape that. So material world is like that. We have no understanding of its beginning and end. But if we take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, we are completely delivered from this material existence. And that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is praying for in this teaching. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments? The last three verses will be discussing more advanced stages of bhakti, raga bhakti, and prema bhakti. So maybe we can take them next time because today our time is up. Last three verses, we'll spend a little more time discussing those, and then we'll also preferably start with the first verse of Shrimad Bhagavatam, questions by the sages in Naimisharanya. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, if not, we stop here today. My request to you is please read this introduction. At least give it a cursory reading. The basic point behind explaining all these verses behind going through this text was to explain the life of a Mahabhagavat, What is the position? What is a Bhagavat? What is the person who follows the Supreme Lord mean? What is the goal of our life? And who is our Acharya? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the ideal preacher of Srimad Bhagavatam. Please try to understand this. Study it with great reverence and love and respect for the Lord. So when we start with the first verse, you will actually dive into the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay? Thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavad pranam.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you,
Dandavad pranam.
Prabhuji.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna,
Pranam.
Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Pranam.
Thank you, Dandavad.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavad pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dandat Pranam.